and welcome to Latter-day Profiles. I'm Brian Howard. We're here in Paris, France, and joining me today is Serge and Isabelle Gaston. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to come and visit today.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Serge and Isabelle are both faithful members here in the Paris area and want to find a little bit more about you. I know, Serge, you've been successful in the business world, and I know a little bit that you're a talented writer and you write for the Liahona in French, and so that's really cool. Let's start with you, Serge. Tell me where you grew up and about life being a member of the church here in France.
Okay, yeah, with pleasure. So I grew up in southern France. I was born in Nice and raised in the Marseille area. And I was born into the church, in fact. So my parents got married within the church when they were young. They met the church when they were youngsters, and they got married together. And so I was born in 1966 and grew up in the Marseille area. So went to primary and then early priesthood and seminary, institute, and finally prepared to go on a mission. And we stayed for many years in southern France until we get transferred because of my job, working as a CFO for a big international group. I got transferred from places to places for a while. And finally, we finally settled up here in the Paris area in 2003. So we have been here for 21 years. With all our kids.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you, where did you grow up?
In south of France, too, in Avignon.
Oh, Avignon.
Sur le pont d'Avignon.
Yeah.
Then, my parents weren't a member. They are contact with the missionaries, and they accept the gospel with pleasure. Especially with the matter of eternal family. That was the things that touched them a lot. And I grew up in the church. I was 10 when I was baptized. And I increased my testimony during my years in the church and with the program, primary, young
woman.
Yeah.
And so on.
Okay. So, and now how did you two meet? When did you meet?
So in fact, we first met in a youth dance, but we were, 5 years apart. So I was much older than Isabelle. So there was not much interest together at the time, but it was the first time we got acquainted. And in fact, a few years ago, when I just came back from my mission, I was looking to become more committed into preparing the future life. And so I saw once again, Isabelle, and she had grown up in between. And so we began to date together. And it took us 3 months between our first date and the time we got engaged. And 3 months afterward, we got married. So it was quite a quick move. But very happy since then. It was a choice we never regretted. So good choice for us together.
So you met initially at church activity?
Yeah, we did. In fact, we did. Church activity. Oh, okay. That's how we met. We were living in the same stake, but with quite a few years difference, a few years apart. So not into the same activities until she finally grew up and we got acquainted together.
I want to ask you about, so you served a mission. Where did you serve?
I served my mission in Arizona, in the USA.
Okay.
In the Tempe mission, I was got to teach in English-speaking missionary. But since I also knew Spanish, my mission president asked me to teach in Spanish. So I went back and forth, 6 months in English, 6 months in Spanish, 6 months in English, and 6 months in Spanish at last.
Oh, wow. What was that experience like, especially with both the languages?
It was terrific. I really enjoyed every bit of it. It was, first of all, it was a very rewarding experience because it allowed me to see what was the church like being fully established. At the time in France, it was still a small church growing up and being organized, being framed. To see, when I was in Mesa, for instance, I was serving in an area where there were 4 wards to be covered by one set of missionary. So we are running to 4 different sacrament meetings in the Sunday. So to see stakes fully established and youth activities organized, and it was just a very, very growing experience and gave me the vision of what the church will have to be like in the future in France. And I must say that I always kept that memory clear in my mind, because when I got called to serve as a leader in the church, I always tried to work towards that direction, to see, okay, this is the way it is supposed to be organized, and so to try to work into that direction.
Isabelle, I want to ask you, so you joined the church when you were 10.
Yeah.
How was it as going with young women and such? Tell me a little bit about the activities and lifestyle for you growing up as a member of the church.
It was a good support, especially with the virtue of the young woman, and it helped me to deep that quality of Christ, and to meet other people, other young, helped me to strengthen that feeling that those virtues were very important in my life.
How was it, because there's not very many members, how was it, your friends and such talking about the church? How was that?
I was the only young woman in my ward. It was a branch. So, and I am so thankful for my teacher,
My teachers.
my teachers, because she has only me. And she organized, at that time, there were a program that you have to organize one activity per week. So she organized one activity per week just for me. And it helped me feel how important I was at that time, because I was the only and on the branch. But I met many, my parents were so dedicated, because my father was a representative.
Representative.
Yeah, representative. So he drive all the week, and on the weekend he drive again to bring my two brothers and I to the activity far away from where we lived, in south of in Nice or in Cannes or in Marseille, to make their kids meet other young. So it was a very good experience for us.
So you had very
Good example, yeah.
very, very dedicated parents.
Yeah.
So what about you? You went on your mission, you came back. Did you know what you wanted to do for career? What were you thinking?
Yes, I always wanted to work into finance. I took classes of finance before. In fact, I went to all of my courses before going on a mission, because it's quite difficult in France to make a break. So I went through the whole way of my study, and then went to the Air Force for 1 year, because it was compulsory at the time, and then left for my mission, which was the greatest experience of my life until I met Isabelle.
Yes, not forget.
And so when I came back from my mission, I mean, a few weeks afterwards, I found a nice job for a big group, and began to evolve into the group, and finally to become a finance manager, and then got hired by an international group in Paris 20 years ago. And so I'm the CFO of the group worldwide. But I always wanted to work into finance. I love it. I mean, I love the way figures interact with the reality and with economical business. So I mean, and it's very much international business oriented. So I travel a lot worldwide. So it gave me the chance to meet a lot of people in many countries, Africa, Latin America, Asia, and so on. So it's very rewarding experience to meet people from all over the world. And once in a while to have the chance to visit a temple locally also is quite interesting experience.
Tell me, explain a little bit more about your job, what you're able to do, and what that entails.
Well, I'm in charge of, everything which is finance related. So I'm in charge of bookkeeping, IT, economical strategics, M&A, merging and acquisition. We are doing external growth transactions. So currently buying some companies worldwide, some audit, providing financial statements, working with banks, with auditors, with tax administration. So everything which is finance oriented and supporting the business. The key point is also to be always involved with the business. It's a trading activity. So the link between finance and business is very, very, very close, in fact.
Did the languages during the mission, English, Spanish, and French, probably helped you out?
I use the 3 languages every day, whether by phone or by email or in meetings every day. So it's really a blessing. What I've learned in my mission is today used on a daily basis in my business for sure. It didn't help my accent a lot, but it helped my knowledge of the languages for sure.
Let me ask you, Isabel, you're a writer. When did you start doing that? And you got involved with the Liahona. Tell me about that, what you're writing.
Oh, it was just a calling. I was just called to supervise the local pages in the Liahona. And it's a wonderful experience because I can receive all the experiences of the members in the local area and to see how God loves them and how God and how they love God and how the church helps them to grow. So it's a really good experience.
But it's interesting because Isabelle is quite gifted. In fact, she wrote 2 novels, and so she has a way to express feelings and try to express the feelings of people. So she's making a good link between the desire of people to express their history and experience, and also the expectation of the church. So she's quite gifted and quite good at it. So I must say, I'm a fan.
How frequently do you write? How many times do you write, like articles and things?
One edition
Per month.
per month, yes, and it's in one edition there are 8 articles.
Oh, okay.
So
you write like quite a bit. 8 articles in one edition. That's
yeah. It's hard. It's
time consuming.
Yeah, it's time consuming. Yes, it's a full-time job. Almost.
Well, let's talk about your membership in the church. First, I want to ask you, Isabel. So, from your experience with your parents being faithful, how did that impact you in how you want to raise your family and with your children?
Oh, it's the thing that I am so grateful for my parents is to link us, my 2 brothers and I, to Christ. Because the parents are not perfect, and they were the first coming in church in their family, so they have to trial with some weakness, but it was so a good example the way they want to follow Christ and follow the principle of the gospel despite of their weakness. And we are a very close family. We are all different with my brother. We have 2 to 3 different family, but we are all linked to Christ, and that's the best gift my parents give us. I am so grateful for that.
Yes. Serge, doing church callings. So I know you've served as a stake president. Tell a little bit about your church service and the opportunities you've had as in serving in the church.
Well, it's very interesting. I had quite a few experiences serving in the church in some leadership position, but I must say what was very important for me is that I've learned from good men. I've seen being from my youth. I've had great examples of former mission presidents. When my dad was serving as a district president, my grandfather was the first district president in Nice, and he used to travel from Italy to Toulouse, all the way of southern France for days for his calling. And so I've been growing up in a family where serving in the church was an important part of my family organization. My parents, were never reluctant to travel a lot for the church and so on. So they were both of them very, very good example for me about what it is to serve the Lord. And so I grew up loving to serve into the church. I've learned to serve in any position. I was always taught we never refuse an opportunity to serve, and to learn to love to serve where we are called to serve. So it was very interesting to we since we moved quite a bit with my job in different parts of France, and oftentimes being called as a leader in the new position, it allowed us to meet a lot of new people with new backgrounds, new histories, and that was the most rewarding experience. To know people. We oftentimes forget about what has been done, but not about what has been lived. The experiences, the change in our hearts, the change in the life of those people, and to try also to promote the church everywhere was a good experience. But we never thought, we'll be moving to Paris. We always stayed, coming from southern France, there is a rivalry between southern and northern France, and Paris is the enemy. And so we never wanted to move to Paris until the Lord has picked us up from Marseille to move to Paris. And today we know why, because of the experience we had here and being called as a stake president here. And here we're growing up our children here and so on. Now with the temple close by. I mean, it's such a blessing to be in the Paris area. So today we are so happy to be here, and we have met many friends and met many great people. So it's just a blessing to be here. Wherever the Lord is putting you, it's like in the mission field, wherever you're called, you just have to grow and to strengthen your family and just enjoy life, because life is to be enjoyed. So.
What is the difference with your kids growing up and the opportunities they have from when you were young, growing up in the church?
Oh, I think FSY helped them a lot. We had a young conference.
Youth conference.
Youth conference. It was great, but FSY, wow. we have the opportunity to serve as a couple, a different couple, and it's really a wonderful opportunity for them to meet many of them, and to have like comment on dit moine?
Like Kulimwa?
Les moines,
Monks.
c'est monks, like monks, you have 1 week just thinking about the gospel and experience with others, the way they understand the gospel, and the same ages. So it's a really good opportunity. And the church is very well organized for the youth today. And it's wonderful.
In fact, the church today gives many opportunities for the youth to grow together. I mean, more than when we were younger.
Yeah.
We had committed leaders and we enjoyed it. But today, I mean, FSY is great support, and they have plenty of opportunities to meet and to do things together. So it gives them more strength.
Yeah.
It's probably easier today to be a youth in the church, but it's also more challenging.
Yes.
Their difficulties are not the same one as ours.
Yes.
And today there is a lot of peer pressure and everything. So I will say it's probably easier to grow up into the church today, but it's also more challenging than before. Easier because you have more support, more challenging because you have more peer pressure and more temptation, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's hard to know, with it better or worse, but it's just different, right, than it was.
Exactly.
What difference has the temple made, having the temple here in Paris?
It's a blessing for us. I mean, I was present in 1976 when President Kimball was in Paris, and he announced that one day there would be a temple in France. I was there. I was 10 at the time. Christian Ovar was also there at the time. And I remember very well, it was in the Palais des Congrès, Porte Maillot, and it made such a strong feeling in my mind that one day there will be a temple. And so when the time came in 2017 for the temple to be dedicated, we were privileged enough to be part of one of the dedicatory sessions, and it was just magnificent blessings, because forever it took us hours and hours to travel from where we stayed to go to the temple, whether it was in Switzerland, in Germany, in London. But today we live 20 minutes away from the temple, so we can be there every week. We serve together as temple servants in the temple every Saturday morning. It's just a blessing to be into the house of the Lord so often. Whenever you want to go and do a session, you can just take your car and 30 minutes away. Afterward, you're into the temple. It's not like in Utah, but it's getting closer to what you guys know in the USA for sure. So it's a blessing. And we have seen the temple bring much light into the Paris area. I mean, people, at the beginning, there was a lot of hesitation. People didn't know too much what would be the impact. So there was a lot of fear before. But today, all the people living in the temple area, they are so happy with the influence of the temple in their neighborhood. It's just really a magnificent blessing.
It's a good way of communication for the church to have a temple here, because it's a beautiful building, and the people who come in are not weird. So,
They're not weird, no, they're good people. And also we see, I mean, for our kids, for instance, and for the youth, it's easy for them to go to the temple. They go together. I mean, they go on ward activity to the temple to do some baptismal session. And when we were young, I mean, we had the privilege to go once a year to the temple. It was a bus trip for
Yes,
days.
it was great.
It was really different. It was good time, but different. Now they can go very often, so it's really helping their faith if they want to be involved in this.
Yeah, it's deepening their face.
Deepening their faith.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And you seem like such a fun couple. Outside of just church activities, what do you do for fun? What do you like to do together?
Well, in fact, we are quite busy. I would say.
Yes,
We're quite
yes.
busy with our life. We have 4 kids. We are happy grandparents of 2 grandchildren as well. So we have one of our daughter who is preparing to be married. One of our son in mission. The other son is still in university. So quite busy with the family going with my job. Isabelle,
Yes.
she's a piano teacher also.
Suzuki
So
piano
it's quite
teacher. So.
time consuming as well. So between the church, family, and life, it's quite.
And come follow me, you know.
Oh,
Come
yes.
follow me.
Yeah, we do.
You heard about that?
Yes, yes.
So quite busy, but to live in Paris gives a lot of opportunities
Yes.
for activity. So whenever you want to go out on a date, I mean, it's so easy. You pick up something and you can go. It's so easy. When
To
you
see
have
some
shows.
some shows, yes.
So you have plenty of opportunities. I mean, it's a fun area to live in. So it allows to enjoy. I mean, what the world has some good to offer, and we oftentimes see what is not good into the world, what is evil, but also the world has some good opportunities
Yes,
to
sure.
offer, and we can enjoy a part of it. It's kind of a blessing to be here for that. Huh?
But we haven't got many time to do that. I can say
Not enough.
nothing else. Yes.
Not enough time to do everything you'd like to
Exactly.
do.
Yes, yes.
Very,
Time
very
is
busy.
flying away. You know?
Yes.
It's going so fast. So try
We have
catch
to
up
we have to
after the
talk
schedule.
talk with our kids often, so it took time. So when it's over, okay.
Well, I'm so happy you took a few minutes to come and talk with us, Serge and Isabelle Gaston. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for taking the time and talking with us tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.